in this panel discussion on the second Global Education and Skills Conclave. Uh, so we had a fantastic inaugural session in the morning where many of the senior bureaucrats and educationists from across the country came and talked about the direction of education in this post-pandemic world and how technology is impacting on driving that direction. Subsequently, we have had three panel discussions on different facets of education. And now we are having this panel discussion where we want to discuss on the developing research ecosystem and what should be the role of universities and academic institutions in fostering this research ecosystem. So we have a very eminent set of panelists with us. We have been joined by Professor Dr. Biswajeet Pattanayak, President of ASBM University. We have Dr. Vikas Singh, Vice Chancellor of ITM University, Raipur. We have Professor S. Salivahanan. He is a Vice Chancellor of Welltech Rangarajan, Dr. Sagunthala R&D Institute of Science and Technology. And we have Wendy Dsouza. She is the Vice President of Enterprise Ireland and Education in Ireland. So with this esoteric set of panel, we would like to start the discussion. The first point that I'd like to talk about for any research ecosystem to foster and research environment to sort of prosper in an academic environment. What we have seen in many of the developing economies in US or even in Germany and other European countries is there is often a very close industry academia collaboration. And that industry, just before briefly, we are joined also on the panel by Dr. Parag Sanghani, Provost of Savani University. Welcome, Dr. Sanghani. So as I was mentioning, our first question would be on the industry academia collaboration across and how critical that is for the research and development environment in institutions, and as heads of academic institutions, how do you look at what are your expectations from the industry in how they will nurture this collaboration with academics? So I'll start with Dr. Pattanayak first. Maybe what's your opinion on this?
Thank you, Mr. Dey. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Audible, sir.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Dey, for introducing me and the esteemed co-panelists. Those are sharing the discussion here. And first of all, I must appreciate the efforts put in by the organizers to choose such a very relevant topic, that is developing research ecosystem role of universities. My opinion is that universities are integral part of the larger education ecosystem. So it is one activity of different activities among the in education you have different activities. So therefore, I would like to focus on the education ecosystem, which is a larger ecosystem, wherein universities, they play important role, but they are not the whole and soul. If you look at the scenario, where do we stand now? Today, India publishes the world's 5th largest number of peer-reviewed research papers. A recent survey of scientists published in Nature showed vast leadership gaps with a highly variable mentorship, training, and institutional support. Any ecosystem to evolve, the role of culture is very important. When I say the culture, it means the culture of the country and the culture of the university. At a macro level, the culture of the country is very important, and at a micro level, the culture of an institution, the university, plays very important role in shaping the ecosystem for research. Now, when I say national culture, let us look at India and what kind of culture we have. To my mind, our education system is heavily examination oriented and lacking creativity and critical importance to examination. And definitely there is a quality teaching and quality delivery, but to my mind, it lacks creativity and critical thinking. Secondly, we have got, we have a lot of loss of talent. There is a brain drain. If you look at the younger generation, they love to move out of the country to pursue research. I am only focusing on research or their higher studies, and they don't want to stay back here mostly. That doesn't mean that everybody moves to other countries, but that number is growing day by day, maybe because of globalization, because of the avenues and opportunities available outside. Third point is that the inadequate government funding. If you look at the funding part of it, in India, we spend only on research and development. And out of that, our over dependency is on public sector. And public sector spends 0.2% of GDP on research and development. Now, rightly, you pointed out at the beginning, I am referring to Mr. Day, that there is a lack of collaboration between industry and academia, especially attracting the private industries to coordinate or collaborate with the academic institutions. So the private operators, the private industries, they spend much less in comparison to public sector organizations. And though every university, they have industry institute partnership cell, and most of the institutions, technical institutions, the AICT has given a lot of funding to introduce institute industry partnership cell. But to my mind, it is confined to inviting the industry practitioners to speak or to share their knowledge. But solid research, application-oriented research consulting is not much. And maybe the industries, we have failed. The universities at large in India, we have failed in convincing the industry that our research finding can help you to leverage the business, to expand the business, and to have innovation and creativity at your workplace. Secondly, if you look at the foreign investment, India attracts only 2.7% of global spending in R&D, whereas China attracts 17.5% of global spending. So therefore, there is a huge gap and we have miles to go. When I am saying there is a culture, the nation culture plays very important role in shaping the ecosystem. In India, culture of stigma over failures. Normally we all appreciate the success, but hardly we try to acknowledge the efforts put in, even if it is a failure. So there is a cultural mindset that there are huge appreciation to the success. But I am not saying that there is a failure. Efforts are not to be overlooked. When people have failed, they have put a lot of efforts in research, especially in innovation. So therefore, we need to change a mindset and an attitude. How do we encourage the failures also to come up with success? World Economic Forum survey says that only 17% of Indian respondents, they stated that the so-called cultural support pillar was available. So you imagine only 17% people they accept that there is a cultural support for the research. Food for thought for all of us. Now I will come to the institutional level or the micro level, the research culture of different universities. To my mind, research, that seriousness attached to research is lacking in most of the institutions. Those are not into science and technology or engineering. In general social science management, you will find that the seriousness attached to research in any kind of universities are not that encouraging. Though in pen and paper, people highlight that we have given a lot of importance to research and development, but in general, in practice, the seriousness is lacking. Second point is that the importance by the top management. In any university, if the top man, whether the vice chancellor, deans of the schools, or the senior professors, if they don't subscribe the view that research is the backbone of quality education, then it would be very difficult to encourage the younger generation for pursuing their research initiatives.
Sure.
I would like to tell you that the doctoral program, mostly I observe in last one decade, everybody is giving importance to quantity. It is fine that when we talk about a mass education, but for a doctoral program, which is a research program, I think we should be very careful about quality, not about quantity. If a
True.
university is targeting only to churn the number, and in the process, we lose the importance of the quality. Why I say this, I have a reason behind it. Now, every
I will
university,
just
as per UGC, yes,
I'll
please.
come to the quality of the doctoral program question, come back to you later on that. I would just now continue the discussion on the one of the first points that you mentioned. I'll come back to you on the quality of the doctoral program because that is another point we have on the discussion today. So I'll just come back to you on this
Okay,
later.
okay,
I'll go to Dr.
okay.
Vikas now. One point Dr. Pattanayak mentioned was on the lack of government funding for research, and we know that that has been happening for some time now. So, as an alternate to that, this industry collaboration that we talked about, and in terms of in some of the institutions, we are seeing industries collaborating in terms of having incubation centers or centers of excellences. So, do you see that happening in a slightly larger scale and things moving which will foster research?
Yeah, am I audible? Actually, it's raining heavily here in.
You're audible. Yes.
I believe actually there is. Desab, am I audible?
Yes. Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay, okay. It's raining very heavily here in Raipur, so there may be some issue regarding the connectivity. Thanks so much, Desa, for inviting me for this program. And I was listening to the points raised by Pattanayak Saab. The points are very, very valid. And this India has third
Not
largest.
audible.
Not audible, sir?
It's not audible, sir.
Am I now?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay. So, India has third largest education system, and this is also seen from the outcome which our higher education system is able to produce. Like last year, about 2.7 lakh articles were published by Indian teachers, and while the figure was by the larger education systems like US could produce around 4 lakh articles, research articles, and China could produce around 6 lakh articles, and the number was as expected, as looking at the size of Indian higher education system. We have 25 lakh teachers in higher education. There are 1,000 universities. There are 50,000 colleges. And the point raised by Pattanayak sir and point raised by Desab is very crucial, that regarding the funding support. No, I would say that the funding support is basically majorly dependent on what we are trying to research, which problems we are trying to find solution to. So what, because if it's of interest of industry, if it is of interest of your local society, local community, the companies which are working there, then you can expect some kind of funding support if your research area is in tune with the expectations of your local state government or by the local industries, local bodies. What is it? So what we have done here, I'll share my example of my university. The we have placed a special focus on our undergraduate research, because we believe at our university that you will not get support from local industry, or you will not get support from the government bodies.
I think there is a network problem. Even the video.
It was not audible, sir, for me.
Okay.
Since beginning, the second speaker.
Okay. So we will continue once his connection is better. We can just. So I'll come to you, Dr. Salivahanan. The question is one on the need of more and more of these centers of excellence and incubation centers by industry collaborating with academic institutions. And Dr. Pattanayak also mentioned about the science and technology institutions are doing the lion's share of the research. So my question is, but still, compared to the American universities where the science and technology, so much research gets done, what is, we can't only blame the industry or the lack of government funding, but what is stopping the academic institutions from really fostering this culture of research?
Actually, good evening to all the members of the panel. Nowadays, research has turned out to be a significant role of the university system. The aim of the universities is to bring research to the core of the university system and apply the research outputs to the national economic development. The status of universities is based on the quality of research, innovation, and productivity. Universities and industries recognize and engage in innovation as a reiterative processes in which basic research, applied research, and prototype development can stimulate and enhance each other mutually. The ability of the universities is to continuously bring new perspectives from diverse viewpoints, make them decisive associates in each for trend setting and sustainable innovation. The establishment of research park in each university with a well-defined research and consultancy policies is an initiative to enable the students to learn skills of innovation and creativity. If we want to become a technology leader, we have to provide high-tech employment for vast masses. Research Park is a joint effort between academic institutions and industries. It is a common meeting ground for both industry and academic people for innovation, creativity, technology generation, and product development. It is a place where innovative minds of students and professors interact with innovative minds from industries and alumni entrepreneurs. Research Park enables to convert intellectual capital of both the institutions and industry into usable goods and services. Research Parks inculcate innovative skills among students. It develops entrepreneurial culture in the campus. World-class institutions produce not only graduates, but also produce new technologies and new technology-based industries through startups. Our WellTech University has created an ecosystem for innovations inculcating incubation center and other initiatives for the creation and transfer of knowledge. The whole initiative supports the early stage startups by providing incubation space, mentoring, networking, and financial loan up to Rs 50 lakhs. Our university has taken keen initiative in starting technology business incubator with the state-of-the-art facilities such as e-waste recycling pilot plant, 3D printing laboratory, manufacturing facility with the advanced CNC machines and NDT technology for product development and inspection, bio incubator to support biotechnology innovations, NVI DIA supported artificial intelligence, machine learning, digital learning and digital services lab to support IT innovations. WellTech University TBI has been recognized as Center of Excellence under NIDI scheme to expand the facility to global level. Since 2010, our TBI has supported 180 plus startups and 34 of them were successfully graduated from the incubation center, like how innovation ecosystem supports the society. Our TBI's vibrant ecosystem consists of startups, mentors, coaches, professors, technologists, domain experts, lawyers, chartered accountants, IP experts, bankers, strategic partners, corporate folks, trainers, and media, which are nearly 500. Over a period, universities across the globe have developed their own novel research ecosystem which comprises of resources available to the university like finance, governance, or administrative, human, intellectual, and physical capital that acts as inputs to the productivity through research, education, training, and socialization, generating intellectual and human outputs. Novel and innovative ideas from students and faculty are invited, for which attractive incentives are given. Students can join the faculty, and along with them they can do research and publish papers. The research culture among students are created in our university. Teaching and research should go hand in hand. That is our policy that should be in all educational institutions. Good researchers will be good teachers. The faculty working in affiliated colleges also should be encouraged to involve in quality research activities. To improve the research activities in the university system, The meritorious candidates, including the toppers from the various universities, university rank holders, and others who have published research papers when they were students in leading journals like Scopus, Web of Science, etc., and IEEE, Springer, elsewhere, and all, with a high impact factor, should become the faculty in all educational institutions. And in our university, we are encouraging faculty and students with initiatives, monetary initiatives also. Every faculty has to publish at least one research article every academic year, especially in SCI and Scopus index journals. Besides, they are encouraged to publish in IEEE, Springer, elsewhere, conference proceedings. Periodical review meetings are conducted for research progress. Seed support worth up to rupees 2 lakh per faculty is given. 5% incentive of the fund to investigators for funded projects are given. Financial support up to rupees 10,000 for external testing per article is given. And also, we initiated some awards for best researchers and emerging researcher of the year and so on. To conclude, the universities can only build research ecosystem, in fact, sustainable research ecosystem. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir. In fact, you touched upon, we were earlier continuing with Dr. Vikas. We'll come back to Dr. Vikas later, but Dr. Salivahanan, you touched upon the third point we were earlier mentioning about for research work, academic research work, lack of government funding, and the industry academic collaboration. You also touched upon the global collaboration with global academic institutions. That is a third part. So, in that context, I'll come to Wendy. Since you represent education in Ireland and enterprise Ireland, so from your experience, if you can tell about how global academic institutions can collaborate in fostering research work, and what are some of these, in specifically in the Irish context, this industry academy collaboration that you see there?
Thanks. Wendy. I have an esteemed panelist out here, and all of the points are really valid. I think Ireland has done really well where research is concerned, mainly because of the government funding that has been going into, the institutions, the universities, and the Institute of Technologies. The government of Ireland gives about 800 million euros as funding, and that's how it has kind of developed. And if you see, it is kind of number one worldwide in various fields. If you talk about nanotechnology, it's number one in the world. Animal and dairy science, number two. Chemistry, immunology, material sciences, agricultural science, number three in the world. And mathematics, it's number four in the world. When we're talking about this collaborations, there is a body called Science Foundation of Ireland, okay, which looks into all these kind of collaborations, and they basically are kind of a conduit between the industry and between the universities. So they give funding to the universities to actually collaborate with industry to for research and for innovation and all that. They also do a lot with India. Okay, so it's not only within Ireland. They are the ones who will take, say, let's take one of the universities in Ireland, which is University College Cork, and now they have a collaboration with IIT Madras through Science Foundation of Ireland. Okay, so that's how the government, okay, so it is a government body, so that's how the government is actually looking at helping develop all these kind of things. They have also funded a thing called Curum. Okay, now Curum is part of a university which is National University of Ireland, Galway. Galway is a place in Ireland, and that place is very well known for medical devices. Okay, so it is basically got, I would say, 18 of the top 25 medical devices companies that are based there. And they have not only their manufacturing, but also the research and development base over there. Now what Curum does is, and it's by the way headed by an Indian itself, whose name is Pandit, Dr. Abhay Pandit. Okay, so the center director is an Indian out there. Now they help, so Science Foundation of Ireland gives about 50 million funding to Curum to come up with various kind of smart medical devices and implant projects. So for the for Ireland itself, then Curum has incubator centers within them itself. Okay, so they have basically like I think when I had sorry, I'm forgetting the name, the Vice Chancellor of Weldec, he said, you have a whole structure where you have a program director, you have somebody who is taking care of industry partnerships. The same is with Curum. So they have somebody who is in constant touch with industry. Now, when I say industry with Ireland, okay, I'm going to put it in really perspective, because Ireland is a very small country, okay, but they have over 1,000 MNCs that are based there. And these MNCs have found Ireland really attractive to set up over there, because they can get all these research talent, okay, to develop more programs. When we're talking about industry collaboration, we're talking about how it's going global. It's also the government of Ireland who helps with this. I work with Enterprise Ireland. Okay, like you can see, Education in Ireland. Education in Ireland is only the education brand, okay, of Enterprise Ireland. Enterprise Ireland acts as a venture capitalist. So now, whenever these industry collaborations happen, and the professors help in commercializing it and coming up with a product, then Enterprise Ireland will help fund these companies to go globally and basically market their products. So it's a whole ecosystem that is created. It's not just one puzzle coming together. You have industry there. You've got to have the whole the basically the universities being able to develop a product. Okay, so it's a whole ecosystem that exists together, and that's how Ireland has really done well.
Oh, that's a very interesting story, and maybe the heads of the academic institutions in India present here on this panel and others can look at replicating some of the model. I'll come to you, Dr. Sanghani, now. See, one is I will put the earlier question again. One from your personal experience perspective, research wise, what has been the work being done, and two is industry, academia, government help, and also in terms of this collaborative learning with global institutions, and even not just only global, sometimes the premier India, the IITs, and collaborating with them, will they help in fostering the R&D environment in the Indian institutes?
Yeah. So, first of all, good evening to all, and thank you very much for inviting to this esteemed panel. All my previous guest has already spoke about the need and what kind of research they're doing. I am talking like PP Savani University is a new university, is just for we call it as an infant, because I'm just heading a 4 years old institution. But in that case, I also have an opportunity to build a research culture. I also have to build the industry. Like my university is near in a Surat, and this entire what called golden triangles, where we will say all the industries from the Baroda to Mumbai belt is on this belt. So we have a great opportunity to connect with industries. But my experience working abroad, I was in Australia and I was in UAE. What I found is that in India, I will not talk about my institution. I will talk about the general issues which, in my experience, happens in India about research. First, resource mobilizations. You talk about Ireland. You talk about everywhere research. There is no discrimination between private and government. If you see, we are spending heavily on on a research in a government institutions, but not equally private sector has been given an opportunity to participate in such kind of a research funding. So that's why, and if you see that Indian private higher education institutions, they are almost 90 to 95%, or I can say 100% depends on fees. And that's why the resource mobile, any good research, we are talking about US, we're talking about UK, just compare their resource mobilization with the Indian universities. We don't have resources, and there is no government support to participate in a at equal platform for the research. So that's where research, whatever we will talk about, whatever the marks we put in NEC or NB, until unless we provide resource for the research, right? So government sector is not giving, fees is not sufficient to carry out the research, because the kind of lab we require for high end research is too costly for the private sector to implement. The second point I would like to say, the industry is also not interested, because the quality of staff which is there they're all teaching staff. Many people who are not absorbed in industries, they're opting teaching as a secondary profession. So if you say that majority of private, we can boast, we can talk and whatever about our faculty base in our marketing campaign, admission campaign, but the majority of private sector employment of faculty is mediocre. So expecting them to produce a grade research and all that, when you put them pressures, it will go on lot of unethical practice. Today India has the highest number of research journal, predatory research journals, right? The reason is because you put them process one paper each year, when the teaching load is more than 30 hours per week. How can they produce a research when you don't provide that? Because there is no research. He has to teach for 24 hours, and he has to do equal research what the other people are doing, in a year, 200 hours of teaching. So how can be balanced? That's what we all have to work out, and we are finding such kind of strategies by having some additional faculties and those who are have inclination of research, we are relieving them from the research load, teaching load, so that they can focus on a research. So that's what innovative strategies we all have to work. The third point is industry also is not interested in providing a research funding to the Indian higher education institution. The reason is, see, I can say as a part of private education, many things is makeup, right? Because I need a grade in NEC, because I need a grade in NBA, I need into this. Majority of private sectors are trying to work around with the systems, and there is no reason to do this, because the ground realities are different. Government is controlling fees, government is not providing, take this case, particularly I'm taking case of a Gujarat. So in such cases, how we will be able to do the research? Industry. Now I can see easily, if Raghuram Rajan goes from here, he will start teaching at the university, but that industry and academia transitions are not possible in India, because there are so many barriers. You never see that the professor of any of these private universities having their own firm and doing some practices and earning 1 million, 2 millions in terms of their patent revenue or research revenue. So what has to be done in this, that there has to be initial support to build research culture, and that's where the handholding has to be happen from the industry and government. I was in one of the industry meetings, and people are saying that your students are not loyal, they are not. But who will 8,000, 12,000, 15,000, 20,000 industries is looking for a people for a graduate staff, which is not a salary of a driver or a plumber. And that is a hard reality. Whatever placement figures we are giving to that, that's a hard reality of Indian higher education. And 50% of your people, you are producing like that. The solutions lies into the talking about the research park, or incubation centers, providing them grants for the working on their ideas, and that's what the limited resources are available, they are doing. But now government and lot of other funding, startup India campaign, incubation fundings, and every government is now started providing to these sectors, which now is slowly started changing the culture. And that's where we at PP Savani universities provided 2 years grant to our alumni to do the their startups, and we provide them whatever the initial salaries they will get it at the any industries. But that number is limited. We also provide support to the faculties for their research work, but that is a very limited number, and it will not change India's higher education scenario drastically. Yes, that are steps in a right direction. Now many industries are also realizing, and locally, if you will give them their problem, like the hackathon which is happening now, which is really solving the problem of industries. The major problem, we don't do relevant research, right? We talk about the research, and that's why if I have to publish any paper, whatever data I will be, I will publish. I will not go to nearby villages and trying to find out their problems, try to do that grassroots level solutions on that. If we do relevant research, so that's why we are not pushing them to publish, but we were trying to push that, connect with the local industries in a weekly once, and try to get the their solve them. So that's where the industries are ready to provide us the all these particular uh, I can say that the industry and research components in Indian higher education, because if you see, majority part is now shifting in higher education to the private sectors, and we are not focusing there in terms of providing resources, in terms of providing handholding, in terms of providing expertise, and we leave and we talk about, because see, to do a one engineering in a US cost 50 to 60 lakh rupees per semester. Now I am teaching them at in our Gujarat 1 lakh rupees and below 1 lakh rupees. What you are expecting, that what can I be do compete in a research with them? I need a resources to compete with that kind of a environment, and then we compare that US is doing as highest patent or Japan. Very, and the if you see the overall record, the spending on IITs, IIMs in higher education, and compared to that the publication ratio, you will find that we are doing pathetically bad, because that's not a ratio is coming good. We are not doing good in terms of the spending on a few selected institutions, and leaving the majority of institutions which are producing students on their own. So that is where I need, that is to shift, looking beyond IITs, IIMs and government central universities, go beyond that, which are the universities who are connected with the ground, provide them the handholding and support. That's the way forward I can see for the industry, academia and the research aspects of Indian higher education.
Thank you, Dr. Sanghani. Very valid points, and one of the points mentioned was the quality of the research. Point which Dr. Pattanayak was also mentioning, and I'll come back later to Dr. Pattanayak on that quality of the doctoral programs. I'll now come back to Dr. Vikas, who got disconnected in between, and just give your views on what is lacking in the research ecosystem in the Indian universities. You are on mute.
There are heavy rains here, so I got disconnected. My apologies for that. Uh, you know, uh, I'm in resonance with Sanghani Saab, because some of the steps that we are taking here are quite in match with what Sanghani Saab is doing in his university. I'll, you know, I personally believe, Desab, that till now in India, the research ecosystem is not very strong. The reason is we were trying to reach to students. The access of higher education to students was very limited, and I think taking education to students, was a bigger goal, and research was, I think, a secondary on the second pedestal, because we were trying to bring education to all the students, and because government had limited funds, that is why there was privatization of education, and lots of societies and trusts were invited to start their education institutions, so that the education can reach to Indian masses, Indian students. So I think to that extent, Indian higher education is doing a wonderful job. We have more than 50 CEOs of global organizations, MNCs, are headed by Indian product of Indian higher education system. So as far as teaching is concerned, I think Indian higher education has done tremendously well. Looking at the funding which is available, looking at the support which is available, or looking at the financial uh, strength of the education system. Now, as very rightly pointed out, for conducting good research, we need good machines, we need good equipment, we need good research labs. So that part is, of course, little weak as of now. Now, what we are doing at our place, and why I'm saying I'm in tune with Sanghani Saab, because at my campus, I have ensured that, the research is at the UG level. UG level means every student who is enrolling in a program at my university will be doing a capstone project. And that capstone project will be for almost the entire duration of the program. And it is compulsory that the research problem will be from Smart India Hackathon. So, if a student is identifying a research problem, from 2016 till date, there have been, like in first year, there have been, uh, problem statements were there, and every year we have problem statements which are, advised by industry and which are, supported by Smart India Hackathon as a project. So my students are expected to pick the research problems from that particular, major domain. So what happens, the research becomes relevant. What they are doing, is more relevant, and it is something, which industry is also expecting to be resolved. And we have very clear milestones. What they are going to achieve after every semester is very clearly mentioned in the entire capstone project, process. Plus, outcomes are pre-defined, that at the end of this capstone project, what we want to have. Like in PhD, we have that at the end of PhD, there will be two research articles. Likewise, we have clearly identified what is going to be the outcome of those capstone projects. Now, with these clearly defined process, clearly defined objectives, I can say that quality of research is improving with every semester. Also, the outcomes are properly mapped with program outcomes. We have clear mapping with program outcomes, the first five domain dependent outcomes, and the other seven, teamwork, peer learning, all those domain independent, program objectives of risk are also mapped with capstone project. Plus, we have created a forum for local industry in Raipur also, like just like Surat. Here we also have good, belt of industries. We have Durg, we have Bhilai, we have Raipur, and we have incubation center. One is by MSME, which is business incubator, another by Newgen IEDC. So what we are doing, in fact, we are inviting the small industries from nearby area, that if you have some designing challenge, some designing problem, some relevant research problem, you come to us, and we will have our students, our faculty member, to work with your team, to work on your idea. And I'm very happy to share with you, there are uh, right now certain projects, are running at our university, which are basically designed, envisaged, and shared by the local industry. So of course, there are a lot of, challenges, lot of shortcomings. The funding support is limited, but I think the relevance of research, doing relevant research, and joining hands with the local industry, can bring solutions. And another point is, we have in India, we have large unorganized sector. Organized industries are very few. So if we look at 50,000 institutions, 1,000 universities, we do not have those many large, industries which can actually fund support, at the university level. And important point is, the faculty members are also only interested in writing research papers. Now, why industry would come and support a faculty for writing their research paper? It has to be relevant research. Only then, industry can come and support. So I'm in tune with Sanghani Saab, and this is, what we are doing at our place also, to ensure that the research that we are doing has some outcome. Outcome means it should have some solution. It should bring solution to some relevant industry related problem. No research, we are promoting at our university just for the sake of writing research papers. It has to come out with patents. It has to come out with relevant solutions, and UG students are involved, because that's true. Faculty members are teaching for 16 hours, 18 hours in a week. So we cannot expect them to, write good research papers, get patents. And so that is why the energy of students, is very effectively used in these capstone projects, because they have from the day one, from the first semester, they have identified the research problem, and along with the faculty mentor, the research mentor, they are continuing on their journey of research till the end of their UG program. It can be 2-year program, 3-year program, 5-year program of in case of law, and in case of architecture. But for every program, there is a capstone project with a clear set outcome identified right in the beginning. So this is how we are doing, and I'm very happy to share that research quality has improved, and outcome is also getting improved with each passing semester.
Great to hear that, and great to know that the outcome, which, as you said, is a critical part, has improved. So, starting with Dr. Pattanayak, I'll come to each of you once for a concluding remark, and I'd like request each of you to, because we are paucity of time, stick to 1 minute answer each of you. So, Dr. Pattanayak, first question, what you were mentioning at that time, and which is a very, very crucial thing, the quality of the doctoral programs. And maybe what in this 1 minute we'd like to ask you is, how would you recommend improving the quality of these doctoral programs?
Thank you, Mr. Day. I think I'd be very specific to your question. To my mind, I have observed that the doctoral research program in India, by and large, we find there is a template research. It means the finding is already decided, and the guide gives a template, and the students, they pursue that. I'm very open, so it may not sound good, but I am the examiner of several large universities, including Central University. The quality of research which I have observed for doctoral program has deteriorated substantially, I must tell you. And my comments are confined to the management and social science domain. I am not referring to science and technology because I am a man of the management. So therefore, my comments are exclusively for the management domain. That after UGC has made a policy that for doctoral program you need to have 2 research publications, and today most of the universities are spending time to find out that the publication submitted by the scholar, whether it is a clone journal publication or it is a real journal publication, because the paid journals are so heavily available, and unfortunately many of them, they are also approved by UGC research, UGC care, and also Scopus, and they are all paid. So therefore, when I talk to different educationists, they say that we are spending a lot of time and energy to identify whether it is a clone journal publication or it is a real journal publication. So my suggestion is that first of all, the University Grants Commission should make a public domain wherein all the approved journals should be visible. Today it is there, but you have to log in, you have to make your account open, and then you can see why. It can be opened. Every institution, every scholar, every student can access and see which are the journals approved or not approved. Similarly, these kind of clone journals, we know, why not a national level drive has to be there to completely stop these clone journals? Because every place in Delhi, you find in Daryaganj, in a small 10 by 10 rooms, people are operating international journals, and the scholar will pay money online. Within 48 hours, they get the international journal publications. Whereas there are many qualitative research journals which are not being included in UGC research care. Why? Because they don't know why it is not being included. So these are the issues which probably it sounds very ugly, but it is the truth. I must appreciate Dr. Parag for highlighting certain issues which are very, very real. Let me tell you, this is not the forum I wanted to highlight my university, what it does. It is a forum of a national concern, a issue which has to be debatable, which has to be addressed, not because of that we are heading a university, we are not doing anything. We are doing a lot of things. I must tell you, for my student, undergraduate, postgraduate, I being I was a professor in Indian Institute of Management, in National Institute of Industrial Engineering, Bombay, wherein assignment. Because in India, there are two things which we believe. One is anything government, it is best. Anything private, you have to justify that you are genuine, which is very, very wrong thing. In the world, you will find that the best university, best of the best universities are private. It is not the government owned. So the time has come, I kept on saying that even the accreditation agency, there also the universities or institutions, very rightly somebody has pointed out, I think Dr. Parag has pointed out, that everybody is working for getting NAC, NBA, and whatever is required, we are only doing that. Why there is a student-teacher ratio? Why not some research scholar also can be taken in that ratio, so that the research scholars which are being taken by the university will not feel that I have to take only faculty members. They can take the research scholars also, who can teach very well in addition to their research activity, and they should be counted. I must tell you, there are many initiatives which are being taken by AICT, but there are large number of universities, those who are not coming under the domain of AICT, they are deprived of all those activities and funding. UGC should take initiative without considering whether government or private, how to popularize the research. We must give seed money funding for different activities without considering whether it is a government or private. Similarly,
Sure.
in one hand, in the new education policy, we are talking about globalization of education. We are talking about inviting foreign students to India. In the other hand, we confine these things by saying that in NIRF only 100 universities, they will be allowed to offer the online education. Why? There are so many universities, because they are new, they are not able to participate in many kind of this ranking business. So they are deprived. When we are interested to make the globalization of the education, we must give space, and our policy regulation has to be more opened up to give space for the institutions to operate. I am sorry I took a lot of time. Thank you very much. It is such a vast topic. It is very difficult to draw a conclusion, but my concluding remark is that there is an integrated planning required for a education research ecosystem in this country, wherein stakeholders like industry, government, and also the universities or institutions, students, all should be together in participating and drawing an integrated plan. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll come to you, Wendy. You have 1 minute. The point I'd like you to describe is one, vis-a-vis Ireland with the Indian academic institutions. Is there any possibility of collaborating? And also some of the Irish models that you described, will it be possible to replicate that in India?
Yes, it is possible to have partnerships between India and Ireland, and we are responsible for that. So I look after that with my team in India. So, anybody who is interested in that, we can help with that. Even the Irish institutions are very much, they want to do partnerships. There are many existing partnerships already, but it's just not enough. Okay, and whether it is social sciences, ICT, anything, they're willing to do kind of partnerships. I should mention that we are looking at a hackathon between India and Ireland. We're looking at launching it somewhere in October, and it would actually conclude somewhere in February. This is for data analytics. Okay, and we are going to be working with an institution in India to help launch it. So we're going to have teams from India and Ireland, and it's not going to be Irish versus India. It's going to be a mixed team where you have few Indians, few Irish together working together in a team. So that's something we're looking, and this is one of the first times that we're doing something like this between India and Ireland, and we're looking at doing much more. On the thing of whether we can help with setting up research ecosystem in India, yes, I'm sure a lot of the Irish universities would like to collaborate and say, help with that. There are, like I said, there are partnerships already in place, and we can look at having those research, kind of collaboration. We can also look at Enterprise Ireland itself. Okay, we do have something called the Competitive Startup Fund. Okay, and we have also funded some Indian companies to help them export to Ireland, or to set up in Ireland, or also just to get expertise. Okay, so there is a company which is in Hyderabad, which got kind of funding, and they got to go to Ireland just to understand how they can sell their product, how they can further develop their product. So these kind of avenues are there, and if anybody is interested, they can contact me. I'll put my email ID here so people can actually look at it, and if they want to contact me, they can.
Sure. Thank you, Professor Salivahanan. Your 1 minute on what would be your recommendation. So you are on mute. Sir, you are on mute.
Thank you. In our university, we have academic flexibility, such as reduction of teaching load for good researching faculty who are doing good research, and also we recruit good exclusive faculty members for research, and so on. And another point is, in our university, every student is given an opportunity to study 1 credit courses, that is 15 hours teaching, offered by industry experts and renowned professors from international universities, from USA, Australia, Taiwan, and so on. And we encourage and support the student ideas to start new startups and companies also. And every year, 10% of our graduating students are getting admissions in foreign universities. That is another point. So with these few words.
Okay, sir, thanks. And Dr. Vikas, you have the last word on it. Your 1 minute on what would be your final recommendation.
First of all, thanks to Wendy for giving us this opportunity to interact with her and look at the situation of research in Ireland. We are very keen to join hands together. Dsouza, the very interesting point is that in India we have 25 lakh higher education teachers. The question that you have raised regarding PhD research is very crucial at this juncture, because in next 5 years, out of 25 lakh higher education teachers, only about 7 lakh teachers as on today have PhD degree. And look at the new recommendations of UGC. Look at the new condition that assistant professor can only be with PhD. These 10-15 lakh teachers are going to get enrolled and complete their PhD in next 5 years. This is a very transforming moment, I would say. If we can control the quality of PhD research now, and we can have some quality control, quality assurance measures on PhD research, I think next 5 years India can have wonderfully, nice research areas, research solutions, good collection of articles. This is a very, very important juncture right now. A lot of teachers are going to enroll in PhD programs. So one way is that higher education leaders, people like me, people like Paragji, people like other vice chancellors here, we keep a close eye on the quality of research and ensure that something good comes out of it. Outcome based research is there, Or it can be another situation where everybody would get enrolled somewhere, complete PhD in whatever way possible, and get a degree at the end of the day. I think this is a very crucial point, very crucial moment, and UGC should take some steps to ensure that quality of PhD research is meeting certain standards. And, this is a very, very transforming and very crucial moment in Indian higher education as of now, I would say.
Great. So that crucial on that crucial moment, basically, we are concluding our discussion today. Obviously, there were many more points, which in this short frame of time could not be completed. But at least I hope this debate has ignited deliberation, has ignited some points, and we are witnessed by more than 400 delegates here, and who are representing different academic institutions. So this deliberation, I'm sure, will take that forward also. So I'd like to thank all the esteemed panelists on this discussion. Dr. Pattanayak, Dr. Vikas, Professor Salivahanan, Dr. Parag, and Wendy for this very insightful and what I would say very interesting conversation on what needs to be done. With this panel discussion, we come to the conclusion on day one of the second Global Education and Skills Conclave. And we would like to take this occasion to thank all the partners who have associated with us for this global education. So it includes the Education Department, Government of Gujarat, the Government of Telangana, Education in Ireland, Coursera, ViewSonic, PayU, Globus, FlipLearn, IIM, Rohtak, Chitkara University, HBB Global Academy, Intercell, Government of Andhra Pradesh, Government of Chhattisgarh, Government of Madhya Pradesh, Government of Uttarakhand, as well as TASC. Without whose support, this program would not have been possible. We look forward tomorrow to the second day of the second Global Education and Skills Conclave. And thanks to all of the panelists today. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Mr. Day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.